Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that floor privileges be granted to Ashley White of my staff for the duration of consideration of the pending bill.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I rise today to talk about a matter that's very important to our country, to Minnesota, and to me: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education, or STEM education for short. As I've traveled around Minnesota, I've heard from many of our high-tech businesses that they fear our students won't be ready to take on the jobs waiting for them when they graduate. And as a result, these jobs will go unfilled and our economy will founder. This is not just true in Minnesota, of course, but across the country, in Pennsylvania, the presiding officer's state, and everywhere in our nation. That's why I'm addressing our need for a well-trained STEM workforce through the STEM Master Teacher Corps Act, which has been co-sponsored by my colleagues, Senators Lieberman and Shaheen. We've been hearing concern about the state of STEM education in our country for over a decade now. In 2000, a 25-member commission headed by former Senator John Glenn published a report called Before It's Too Late, which addressed the pressing need for high-quality math and science teaching. 5 years later, another report, Rising Above the Gathering Storm, presented the findings and recommendations of a National Academies Commission chaired by former Lockheed Martin CEO Norm Augustine concerning the deterioration of STEM education and basic research. Last year, a follow-up report, dramatically titled Rapidly Approaching Category 5 Hurricane, warned us that the, quote, gathering storm is now threatening to wipe out U.S. leadership in global science and technology if we don't act fast, and it said so with good reason. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, nearly every one of the 30 fastest growing professions require STEM skills. These include jobs in some of the fields that are most critical to the future of our country: healthcare, energy, climate change, and national security. And yet, too few kids are graduating from high school with the interests or the preparation to successfully pursue STEM degrees in college. Well over half of college students in China and Japan major in STEM fields, compared with only 1/3 of U.S. citizens. International standardized tests show that we rank only average or below average in students' math and science performance. The 2009 Program for International Student Assessment placed American 15-year-olds 25th in math and 17th in science out of 34 OECD countries, so there are the developed countries. And what's worse is that we're spending more on education per student than any other OECD country in the world except for Luxembourg. As Congress works to reform No Child Left Behind this year, and the presiding officer is working with me on that, on the Help Committee, I urge my colleagues to consider strongly the importance of STEM education and how to spend our limited resources most effectively. President Obama has proposed recruiting and training 100,000 new STEM teachers in the next decade and has requested $100 million to advance this worthy goal. However, many STEM teachers leave the profession within their first few years of teaching, often drawn by far more lucrative salaries elsewhere in science and technology fields. Those talents are valued in the market. So if we're going to invest in recruiting and training new teachers, we also need to invest in retaining and best utilizing those individuals. The STEM Master Teacher Corps Act is based on a proposal brought forth by President Obama's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. It will provide the top K-12 STEM teachers in a participating area with additional professional development so that they can become leaders in their schools and in their communities. Master teachers will mentor their younger or less effective peers, giving them guidance and inspiring them to stay in teaching. Master teachers will also network with one another, sharing best practices and classroom resources. Together, these measures will improve the quality and the ability of all teachers, their ability to impart strong STEM skills and an eagerness to learn and pass that on to their students. Providing career advancement opportunities to effective STEM teachers and support to beginning teachers will help increase retention, so our investments in recruitment and training will have an even greater payoff. In recognition of their excellent work and new leadership responsibility, it's only fair that these master teachers should be compensated, so my legislation also gives them a salary bump. Our teachers work just as hard as other STEM professionals, and it's time we started recognizing that and paying them accordingly. According to the National Association of Colleges and Employers, the median salary offered to recent college graduates in certain STEM-related fields, including physics, computer science, accounting, and engineering, is $24,000 higher than that offered to a new secondary school teacher and $30,000 higher than that offered to a new elementary school teacher. This legislation has been endorsed by more than 60 national and regional groups, ranging from educational organizations like the National Education Association, the American Federation of Teachers, the College Board, and Education Minnesota, to business groups like Life Science Alley, the Bio-Business Alliance of Minnesota, and the Minnesota High Tech Association. The bill is also supported by rural groups like the National Rural Education Association and Rural School and Community Trust, and numerous science and math societies. I am particularly pleased to have the endorsement of two leading national businesses that also happen to be headquartered in my home state, Medtronic and 3M. Both of these companies recognize and support the importance of acting now to ensure a well-trained workforce for the future, and they've already shown a proactive interest in supporting and engaging students in STEM activities. I was just recently at a FIRST Robotics event at the University of Minnesota that was astounding. It had two huge auditorium of these, over 130 teams competing in Minnesota in this robotics competition. So I'm very grateful for the support of 3M and of Medtronic. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the bill full list of endorsers be included in the record, and I have a list here to show how impressive it is.
Without objection.
Thank you. The Master Teacher Corps program addresses the recommendations presented in the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technologies 2010 K through 12 STEM education report, and tracks the priorities laid out more than 10 years ago in the Glenn Commission report. Specifically, it would establish an ongoing system to improve the quality of mathematics and science teaching in grades K through 12, and it would improve the working environment and make the teaching profession more attractive for K through 12 mathematics and science teachers. With the planned reform and reauthorization of No Child Left Behind this year, we have a rare and indeed ideal opportunity to implement real change in K through 12 STEM education in this country. So let's act now, before it's too late, before the storm has fully gathered, and before that rapidly approaching Category 5 hurricane destroys the competitive technological edge and prosperity that our country has worked so hard to build and maintain. I urge my colleagues to join Senator Lieberman, Senator Shaheen, and me in supporting a sustained investment in K-12 STEM teacher quality and in raising the status of the teaching profession through the STEM Master Teacher Corps Act. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the bill's text be included in the record.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I'd also like to take a moment to congratulate the University of Minnesota Duluth men's hockey team for capturing their first ever NCAA Division I championship. The UMD Bulldogs faced off against the Michigan Wolverines in St. Paul this past Saturday, and wow, it was an amazing game. Over 19,000 fans packed the XL Energy Center to watch a nail-biter, really, is what it was. Goaltender Sean Hunwick of Michigan and UMD's Kenny Ryder kept the game close, neither allowing a goal in the third period and sending the game into overtime. Stuck at 2-2, Bulldog Travis Olasuk gathered the puck behind the Michigan goal just 3 minutes into the extra period. With the puck on his backhand, Olasuk slid a pass in front of the net to hard-charging teammate Kyle Schmidt of Hermantown, Minnesota. Kyle, only 10 days removed from hand surgery, buried the puck from just outside the crease. And in a moment of pure exuberance, he skated to the half line and dove onto his back, performing what I believe was a snow angel as he slid on the ice. It was something to see. It was one of the most thrilling finishes in college hockey history. After 50 long years, Kyle's overtime goal gave the Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs their first ever men's hockey NCAA championship. In his 10th year at the helm, Coach Scott Sandlin led a tenacious and skilled Bulldog team that dominated on the power play and got timely goaltending throughout the tournament. And I would be remiss if I didn't commend the Michigan Wolverines, who played fiercely and deserved congratulations for an excellent final game. I know everyone at the University of Minnesota Duluth must still have smiles on their face after their victory, and I congratulate the players and the coaches and the fans on a triumphant season. And I would also be remiss if I didn't say that last year, the women's hockey team, the Bulldogs also, won the women's NCAA hockey Division I hockey tournament. So kudos to the University of Minnesota Duluth and the Bulldogs